Coming up on AgweekTV,
we'll cover all things agriculture at the Big Iron Farm Show in West Fargo, North Dakota.
Our AgweekTV corn and soybean tour continues.
We'll have some tips for staying safer this harvest season.
In which cover crops help benefit farmers' bottom line, we'll find out. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Emily Beal. This week we're coming to you from the Big Iron Farm Show in West Fargo, North Dakota. The Big Iron Farm Show is predicted to have around 60,000 attendees this year, with over 700 exhibitor booths and educational seminars. As harvest season approaches, how are the markets sitting? Jenny Schlecht met with an expert to find out.
Thanks, Emily. I'm here with Randy Martinson, president of Martinson Ag Risk Management. And Randy, we are rapidly approaching harvest season. So what are we looking at in the markets as we get to that time of year?
Well, what's interesting is we just finished with USDA's report, so that kind of set us up so that now we can concentrate on harvest and where the yields are going to come into play. And right now, you know, as we've been hearing through the whole growing season, everything is variable. So it's going to be interesting to see once the combines get in the field. Some of the early harvested soybeans are coming in a little disappointing. You know, some guys I've heard some corn being taken off. That isn't so bad yet, but I think variability is going to be the name of the game, and it's going to be hit and miss, and it could be variances just across the road.
So that crop production report that came out this week, it showed a big increase in corn acreage. Was that something you were expecting?
Oh, absolutely not. You know, you look at the numbers. I was going through them here the other day, and you look at the corn acres, and the biggest increases came in, the western Corn Belt states, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska. So I wonder how much of that is actually going to get harvested because of the dry conditions they've been seeing. But no, that was kind of a surprise. In the end, North Dakota is going to have over 1 million more acres over last year. Doesn't look like it when you drive around out in the countryside, but so that was a little bit of a surprise. Soybean acres coming in, not much of a change, but the big surprise came in wheat with the drastic cuts in world stocks.
So let's switch over to cattle, and the cattle market has just been hot. And is there any change in sight there?
Well, not really. I mean, again, in that report, we continue to see tight supplies. Not only did USDA, continue to show smaller 23 production, but 24 production is going to be even smaller than 23. So we are looking at another year of lower production. That's going to sustain, I think, the cattle markets going forward. But the trouble, I think the biggest thing we have to watch on cattle is what's the economy going to do? And right now, that's the biggest thing. We know we're going to see a couple more interest rate hikes depending on what happens with the inflation. And I think that's going to set the tone more just because of whether the consumer is going to be able to afford to buy that high-priced beef.
All right. Anything else we should be looking at in the markets?
Well, really, right now, it's harvest season. So we just keep watching where harvest results are going to come into play. I would expect this market to perform like a seasonal move where we see bottoms come in the early fall. Hopefully, then we can see some demand and start to see this market rebound later.
Are there any outside pressures in this market that we should be aware of?
Well, yeah, there are. I mean, you look at the dollar, that continues to strengthen up. I mean, we had 8 straight weeks of higher closes. We've got 6-month highs. So once we were, when corn and soybeans or corn and wheat were the lowest in the world for our prices at one time, the dollars kind of brought them back up and kind of pushed away some of the exports. And then, of course, watching crude oil because that's also climbing up because of some tighter production in OPEC countries. So those are the 2 big things that I'd be watching.
Thank you for your time. Randy Martinson of Martinson Ag Risk Management.
Thanks, Jenny. With over 700 exhibitor booths here at Big Iron, there are some impressive technologies and equipment. I met with Pivot Bio and Advanced Grain Handling Systems to learn more about theirs.
Farmers are continuing to be excited to look at new technologies, and Pivot Bio is bringing new technology to that field.
Mark Cartwright is an agronomist for Pivot Bio. Pivot Bio is an up-and-coming company in the ag industry. They engineer microbes that can be applied on the seed or in furrow. Those microbes have been engineered to produce a high level of nitrogen, something that farmers are looking for.
In corn, we're producing about 40 pounds of nitrogen, and in spring wheat, we're providing about 25 pounds of nitrogen. So growers are really excited to be able to bring a little bit different source of nitrogen to the table and a source of nitrogen that's going to stay with that plant and not move in the environment.
Sort of a one-stop shop to get all these guys going.
Chad Kylo is the owner of Advanced Grain Handling Systems. The company is a one-stop shop for all your grain handling needs. From the dirt work to the electric work to putting the bins up, they do it all seamlessly.
The farmers, they can set their own destiny during harvest if they have their own grain site. They're not waiting for the elevators, they're not waiting all that. They can dry the grain themselves, they can store it, play the market. There's all sorts of different areas where these sites pay themselves back pretty quick.
To learn more about these companies, please visit pivotbio.com and advancedgrainhandling.com.
Which cover crops provide the most benefit to a farmer's bottom line? That's what a Minnesota-based research project is trying to figure out. Jeff Beach joins us now with more on this week's Ag Week cover story.
This was the first year of a 3-year study on how cover crops pencil out in different situations. In 2022, the study gathered financial data from 83 farms around the state that use cover crops. Vincent Gauthier is the manager for Climate Smart Agriculture for the Environmental Defense Fund. He's managing the program, which is a collaboration between the EDF, the University of Minnesota, and several other state agencies. He says the study takes into account things like the cost of cover crop seed and herbicide, fuel used, and the cost of a farmer's time.
Our objective really is just to answer the questions that they have and not try and persuade them that they should adopt the practice, but instead give them the information they need to make the right decisions for their farm, both in terms of improving soil health, but also in terms of maintaining profitability.
The study categorized 5 types of cover crop systems, and Gauthier says so far they are finding costs and profitability very significant. The study will continue through 2024.
Jeff will have much more on this in the next Ag Week magazine and at agweek.com.
Ahead on AgweekTV, some important information about harvest safety.
For home delivery of AgWeek, log on to agweek.com or call 800-811-2580.
Seriously?
Our environment affects us all. It guides how we use our land, what we grow, and where we call home. For decades, we've equipped our clients with comprehensive environmental solutions and confidence to build their projects. Our team of environmental specialists are experts in navigating complex regulatory environments and finding solutions to build a sustainable future for everyone. More engineering, improving lives by building strong communities.
The story of a farm is the story of a family. From generations past to generations to come, families have raised their children on the crops that sustain our country on the same fields. Today, with a better nitrogen, farmers can continue to take care of what matters most, the land they work and the people they do it with.
We farm corn and soybeans here in the Red River Valley, just south of Castleton in the Leonard area. So we have from some loamy ground, mostly heavy Fargo clays are pretty much what we have. We have some drain tile. Calcine's helped us a lot with that, flush out salts.
And what led you wanting to use calcine in your operation?
He brought me onto the product and told me about it, so I said, well, let's give it a trial, tell me what it does. And we trialed it and it worked very well in some salty spots. And so now we use it on the whole farm.
And so when you're standing in your acres, how has your soil's health changed since using this product?
Our salt levels are definitely low, both in the soil and particularly on tissue tests in corn, the salt level is very low in the plant.
Thank you to our sponsors: Butler Machinery, North Dakota Corn Council, North Dakota Soybean Council, Bremer Bank, Peterson Farm Seed, Crary Ag, and Farmers Mutual of Nebraska.
This week, our Ag Week corn and soybean tour takes us to central Minnesota. Dryland corn and soybeans are holding on to what moisture they can as harvest gets closer near heading. Agronomist Tom Anderson says it was a variable growing season with extreme heat. He says irrigated soybeans are of higher quality than dryland beans, but now they are starting to see a lot of late season white mold, especially in irrigated fields. He says that will cause some yield loss.
And this year I attribute some of that to all the wind events we had. If we had any hail or any damage to those plants, anytime a plant gets damaged, that's when a white mold infection can take place. And it didn't look like it was going to be a bad year early in the year, and now it's starting to show up.
Anderson predicts combines will start rolling in the region's soybean fields in about 2 to 3 weeks. Our AgWeek corn and soybean tour now takes us to southeastern Minnesota. Weather conditions in the area have been comparable to the drought of 1988 and 2012. While there has been scattered rainfall throughout the region, the heat and dry soil help the development of diseases. Joel Johannenmeyer, advanced yield specialist for Ag Partners, suggests farmers get harvesting their corn crop sooner rather than later.
I think we will see some more corn coming out because it's matured more rapidly than maybe we've seen in the past. Beans, it'll take a while to drop their leaves and be ready to harvest. But and I'd really like to see some guys get out there and get after the corn because a lot of the challenges just compounded some stock, some disease issues.
Some farmers in the region have already begun harvesting their corn. Harvest can be a dangerous time as farmers race to get the crops in. But in this month's Soy Insight, Rose Dunn has some tips for keeping everyone safer on the farm.
Fall is a busy time on the farm as producers race to get their crops harvested before the weather turns. NDSU Farm and Ranch Safety Coordinator Angie Johnson says there are several things farmers need to keep in mind to keep themselves, their families, and their workers safe. And most of them just involve taking a minute to assess a situation.
Stop, think, then act. Stop and think through the situation, what's happening. Take time to breathe.
Perhaps one of the most dangerous places during harvest season is on the road. And Johnson says there are lots of things that both farmers and drivers need to be aware of.
You are a large machine, you're operating slow, you can't go at high speeds, and you need to really be prepared to slow down and know when it is safe to be able to safely pass or wait.
Johnson says to help prevent accidents, it's important to make sure all your equipment is in good working order, including all lights and turn signals, and keep it clean as work progresses. She suggests keeping your air compressor handy for blowing off grain dust, and don't forget your ear and eye protection and masks or respirators. Soybean harvest can mean some extra hazards.
Dryer fires are really, really common when you're working with crops like soybeans, simply because when you harvest soybeans and put them through the dryer process, there's a lot of chaff, and it's those dry particulates that easily can catch fire. And then you're also dealing with an oil crop, very high oil content, very combustible.
Johnson emphasizes make sure everyone working on the farm is properly trained, especially young and inexperienced family members or temporary harvest workers. And she says if you get tired, take a break.
There's no amount of crop or livestock that's worth losing a life over.
In Fargo, North Dakota, this is Rose Dunn for AgWeek.
If you have any questions or would like a safety assessment done at your farm, you can contact Angie Johnson at NDSU or call your local county agent. Ahead on AgWeek TV, we'll show you a new piece of equipment that can help improve your soil.
AgWeek TV Soy Insight, brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council.
Why I ultimately choose them is they handled everything from the site prep, the dirt work, the gravel. The electricians were all excellent, and they're very knowledgeable in the dryer setups themselves. They made sure that they designed me a system that was expandable years into the future. It was a long-term encompassing project, and that's what I appreciate about their knowledge. I'm Ethan Hansen from Blanchard, North Dakota, and I would definitely recommend Advanced Grain for all your grain storage handling needs.
There's no easy button, no guarantees, or promises of a good year. This is farming. It's unpredictable. and demanding, with long days and sometimes stressful nights. It's weathering the storms and coming out successful. Farming isn't for everyone. We thank those who make it their life, because it is for everyone.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
The simplicity, I mean, it's a complicated planter, but it's also simple. That row meter is just very simple and it just seems to work. I like that just having that tube delivering the seed with an airstream and not having to have extra belts on it or extra electric motors and stuff. A lot of this machinery seems like it's almost getting overly complicated. The simpler that it can work, but do what it's supposed to do, I think this machine can definitely do that.
Life at Butler Machinery is more than just a workplace. It's a place where I've met quality people that have helped me grow to who I am today. They're more than simply coworkers to me, they're my team. They're people that I can rely on and that rely on me to complete the day-to-day tasks. Butler truly values their technicians with ongoing training throughout the year to keep us up to date on our products. Join the Butler family like I did. Apply today at butlermachinery.com/lifeatbutler.
AgWeek Weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
Are these fall temperatures here to stay? Here's our AgriWeather outlook.
This 2-week forecast takes us out through the past the fall equinox and on through to the end of the month of September. So we are in a decidedly fall weather pattern. Whatever you say about the weather, it's fall, all right? So we're looking at fall. We're looking for fall trends. What's going on? Well, we're not seeing the heat that we were back in August and the early part of September, although we are expecting a warm surge to come northward. In fact, it's happening as this forecast period begins. It's not going to be hot like the weather was earlier. And when we talk about hot weather, it's mostly not as hot as it was during the middle of summer. The other thing that's really important across especially the corn bean belt are those fall rains. You get into this time of the year where evaporation in the cooler weather goes down, and so rain is much less likely to evaporate, more likely to soak in and replenish the soil lost during a hot, dry summer. So it's time to get those soil moisture situations back up to where we want them to be going into spring. So as we start off the pattern, there's that warm surge again, springing northward again. That's caused in part by the powerful hurricane moving off the out to sea again after pestering the eastern edge of the continent here over the weekend. So we're going to see some warm weather. Now by hot, back in August, this would be 90s and 100s. Now we're talking about this kind of weather being in the 80s with maybe a few 90s in the south. The warm weather is more consistently the 70s or about 70. And as we go through the week, there will be a bit of troughiness developing in the west, and that's going to give us a little bit of a trend toward southwest to northeast flow in the northern plains, which eventually, by the weekend, will likely set us up for a chance of rain here in the northern plains, something that's been decidedly lacking recently. We're also going to see in this pattern warm weather being pulled back up into the northeastern states, while the really cool stuff is for the time being staying up north, largely because of this rather peculiar wobble in the jet stream over the western part of Canada. Now, some cooler weather will build down this weekend into the northern Rockies. That's our best chance for getting some rain right here in the northern plains. As we go through the week next, the second week of this period, the heat in the east will subside, will be replaced by some cooler weather, start to see more freezing temperatures showing up mostly in northern Canada, but the pattern will continue to be relatively wavy. So what does that mean for precipitation? Well, as the big hurricane storm moves out to sea, this rain will be early in the week, then things should dry out. Most of the southeast and eastern corn belt looks pretty dry. I do see some monsoonal rains and some midwestern showers and thunder showers, and a little bit of rain in the northern Rockies. The second week, now the last week of September, a better chance to get some wet weather over much of the Great Plains and the western corn belt for the first time in a while.
Built in North Dakota and delivered across the Midwest, every Pinky home is a custom home, designed for your family, built by ours. And with our on-site lumberyard and generations of experience, we can help build the home of your dreams without breaking your budget. Build something that lasts. Build with Pinky Homes. Get to know us and see all of your customization options at pinkyhomes.com.
Risk management is not just for the grains. Livestock producers, did you know you too can protect the price for your production? Livestock Risk Protection, or LRP for short, is a great tool to help you protect the price of your calves. Cattle producers can also protect their pasture and hayland from lack of rainfall with Pasture Rangeland Forage, or PRF insurance. This is a very affordable way to help producers in times of below average rainfall. Call the Risk Management Specialist, Martinson Ag Risk Management.
When it comes to grain storage and handling solutions, one call does it all. Gateway Building Systems is one of the largest Brock bin dealers in the U.S. Our expert team is dedicated to creating a customized plan for your future success. Expanding your operation has never been easier with our range of Brock solid bins, grain dryers, conveyors, and more. As your trusted partner, we are committed to serving the needs of farmers. Take the first step toward success and call Gateway Building Systems today.
It was October 1st, 2009. We needed some machinery for the farm. We decided to see if we could become a dealer, and that's kind of grown into what it's been today.
We offer basically anything short line. Seed tenders, fertilizer spreaders, sprayers. We can really set ourselves apart by the knowledge we have in those things, by the amount of units we have on hand at all times.
I just have a passion for helping people, getting to know people. It just becomes a lot of fun.
Get a jump on next season's crop. Before you put your planter away after the planting season, bring it to the experts at Titan Machinery for a full inspection. Titan Machinery service technicians have the experience and training to inspect your Case IH planter and get it in optimal condition for next season. Get a head start on next season and get the peace of mind that your planter is ready when you store it for the winter. Contact the planter experts at your local Titan Machinery Case IH dealership today.
Incorporating new management practices on the farm can be difficult to navigate and filled with uncertainty. I visited with Steve Schuster on his farm near Minto, North Dakota to learn about how he adopted strip till on his sugar beet acres, all thanks to the ETS Soil Warrior.
Strip till is a very new concept in this region, so kind of a spearhead thing for us on this farm. We have a couple neighbors that are involved in it as well, but it's a relatively new concept to the area and even newer to sugar beet production.
Steve Schuster is a fifth-generation farmer who farms with his wife Lisa and 3 young daughters near Minto, North Dakota. They raise corn, soybeans, dry beans, wheat, and sugar beets. Though a new production practice to his region, Schuster wanted to start incorporating strip till on his acres.
Soil moisture conservation is paramount for us. And in conventional tillage, we will work the field a couple times right before the planter. That can lead to the seedbed drying out. Now you're waiting on Mother Nature for rain. And in strip tillage, we're able to control that moisture line a little bit better.
Though Schuster thought about building his own piece of strip till equipment, he didn't want the hassle. So he set his sights on the ETS Soil Warrior.
I reached out to Soil Warrior because they're one of the few that make a 22-inch machine, which all of our row crops in this region are 22-inch. So I reached out to Soil Warrior because of their staff, their service, their support. When I did a 5-year commitment to a percentage of my acres, I wanted to make sure that the equipment wasn't a limitation as to why strip till did or did not work. I wanted the equipment to have the fair chance. It was going to be our soil conditions that were going to determine whether or not it was going to work.
Schuster has been blown away by the ETS Soil Warrior and its success in his acres. The machine now has a permanent place on his farm.
I don't look back. I mean, I've tried other machines, looked at other machines that they would have never held up in what we put this machine through. There's always going to be a place for this practice on my farm going forward. I can see that.
For more information on the ETS Soil Warrior, please visit the number or website on your screen. Farm toy enthusiasts, take a look at some trinkets as their farm toy circuit kicks off.
My name is Carson, and I'm a 4th-generation corn farmer.
The corn that's grown in North Dakota, you could probably trace all over the world. Back growing up, it was always hauled to the local elevator, and now we haul directly to an ethanol plant who processes that corn into a clean burning fuel. The North Dakota ethanol industry uses over 150 million bushels of corn and returns $640 million to the state economy.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Brimmer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
Prairie welcomes you back for the second annual Full Pod event. Join us with the Millennial Farmer, Brian of Brian's Farming Videos, Larson Farms, and Tony Fast at Fast Ag Montana.
Come see me, Tony Fast, Fargo, North Dakota, at the Prairie's Full Pod event, November 30th. For details, go to prairie.com/fullpod.
Don't miss Prairie's Full Pod event, Thursday, November 30th at the Fargo Holiday Inn. Get your tickets today at prairie.com/fullpod.
The National Agricultural Genotyping Center is conducting a statewide sampling survey for herbicide resistance in Palmer amaranth, water hemp, and kochia. The goal of this survey is to determine where and what herbicide-resistant traits are found in North Dakota. Collection kits consist of 4 envelopes, 3 envelopes for Palmer amaranth and water hemp from pigweed, and 1 envelope for a suspected herbicide-resistant kochia plant. For more information about the survey and where to pick up your collection kit, please contact your local North Dakota County Extension agent.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
This year's Farm Toy Show circuit is underway, and farm toy enthusiasts gathered in Cashton, Wisconsin for the first show of the season. Cashton FFA puts on the show every year. Corey Blank, agricultural instructor and FFA advisor at Cashton School, says there is a lot of attention around farm toys across the Midwest.
There's definitely a group that collect them and love it. I have some family members that are very into it as well, and just going out, and there's a few vendors here that go all over the place and kind of in this tri-state area and go and sell their toys, and people have huge collections all over.
There were 52 tables filled with toys and farm memorabilia at the Farm Toy Show this year. For our Eastern South Dakota and Northwestern Iowa viewers, starting October 1st, AgweekTV will be moving to Sioux Falls Live. Make sure to tune in to our new channel to keep up on all things agriculture in the region. We appreciate you watching this week's episode of AgweekTV from the Big Iron Farm Show in West Fargo, North Dakota. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up on all your ag news. Have a wonderful week, everyone.